to you by the Communications Authority of Kenya.
This week, on our continuing series, Connecting Kenyans, we turn our lenses to Kitui and Bungoma counties.
Ilikuwa ni vigumu sana kuwasiliana juu ya mambo ya usalama.
Chakula sahi haiwezi kuharibika kwa shamba.
And in Mwingi, we will tell you how a chief is using social media to provide government services.
Now we are tweeting, you tweet your colleague. Kama ni ngombe zimeibiwa, naona ni haraka sana tunasikamata.
Kama network haingekuwa, hata mtoto wangu sijui kama angekuwa.
There are no roads to the hills, and sometimes it could take actually even days before we could get access to the sites.
A lot of challenges that we face, but we soldier on.
Welcome to the show. I'm Alex Chamwada, but first, let's have our fact sheet rolling. On the fact sheet of the previous show, we documented the objectives of the Universal Service Fund, USF, which is meant to bridge the digital divide in order to enable every Kenyan to have access to telecommunication services and other communication services. We also learned that by 2016, 94.4% of the Kenyan population was covered by 2G network, leaving out 5.6% of the Kenyan population with no access to voice communications services. The Voice Infrastructure and Services project targeted to connect 2.6 million Kenyans to mobile network coverage. Phase 1, being implemented in 78 gap sub-locations, covers 320,000 people. This implies the gap has been reduced by 12.3%. In the 2016 survey, the counties that were listed at 100% network coverage are Kirinyaga, Bomet, Nyeri, and Nairobi. The counties with above 90% coverage included Busia, Kisumu, Kericho, Elgeyo Marakwet, Kilifi, Machakos, Kakamega, Tharaka Nithi, Mombasa, Nyamira, Nyandarua, Bungoma, Taita Taveta, and Narok. Those with coverage between 80 and 90% included Baringo, Tana River, and Kajiado. West Pokot's network coverage was 74.17, Mandera 69.65, Samburu 64.35, and Marsabit at 63.44. Turkana and Wajia's network coverage was below 50%. Mount Elgon is a sub-county in Bungoma County, Western Kenya. It is one of the 9 constituencies in the county. The area is not only known for its scenic landscapes but also its rich agricultural soils. Most agricultural produce found in the nearby markets like Chwele is from Mount Elgon. Yes, so rich in natural resources, but insecurity some time back threatened the area's development as the Sabaot Land Defense Force SLDF militia group visited terror and fear on women, men, and children. It was all about land issues. The militia group was eventually crushed, and area residents reflect on how poor network coverage was part of the obstacles to tackling insecurity in the area. I spent time with residents of Korngotuni sublocation to get a feel of what has changed since the construction of 2 boosters by Safaricom Limited and Telcom Kenya, and the office of Acting Assistant Chief Moses Chesikak was my first stop.
Hapo nyuma tulikuwa na shida ya ukosefu wa usalama. Kwa hivyo ilikuwa ni vigumu sana kuwasiliana juu ya mambo ya usalama. Ungeweza ona pengine wezi ama pengine wakora, lakini sasa ulikuwa unashindwa vile unaweza kupeana information. Sababu ukijaribu kupeana information uandike message, hiyo message ilikuwa ina delay mpaka pengine kesho ndio hiyo message inamfikia yule ambaye umemtumia. Sasa tuko sawa kwa sababu tangu mwaka jana tuko na booster kila mahali. Hata ukiwa mtoni network inashika, unaweza peana habari ambayo inaweza kukusaidia kwa wakati ambao unahitajika.
Because of peace coupled with improved communication network, shopping centers in Mount Elgon are now abuzz with activity.
Mimi kivyangu, mimi kama mwana bodaboda, network imenisaidia sana kwa sababu najua barabara haijulikani. Unaweza pata shida, puncture, ama mafuta ishie kwa barabara, ama pikipiki iharibike. Lakini with network unaweza communicate na yule mechanic aje akusaidie at least kuundia pikipiki yako na uendelee na kazi yako.
Farmers here are also tapping into the benefits of mobile telephony.
Unapokuwa na simu hivi sasa, mteja kupatikana inapatikana kwa njia ya haraka. Unapiga simu na mnaongea na yeye na unaambia viazi ndio unaye au vitunguu au mboga au saumu. Kwanza mimi ni mkulima wa saumu.
Mbolea hiyo na unampigia hata mwenye ananunua kama viazi, nisema mfano kwa viazi, unampigia tu unikujie na mbolea. Unikujia na mbolea alafu ukifika huko unaenda na pesa.
Tunaona ya kwamba kazi ni rahisi kwa sababu tukiwa hapa mawasiliano iko poa. Tukiwasiliana na yeyote ambaye hako kule chini, tukihitaji kama mtamba, kama knapsack sprayer, kama ingine imeharibika kwa shamba, hiyo sasa tunapiga simu direct kwa Agrovet, alafu tunaletewa kwa wakati.
We move to a different location, Chebiuk location, and this booster belongs to Telkom Kenya. A few meters away, I meet Mzee Kimai Ndiema Kiptang, enjoying the scenic views of Mount Elgon.
Mawasiliano hapa ilikuwa ni mbaya sana hapo awali.
Kivipi?
Kwa sababu ukitaka kutafuta mtu unatafuta kwa bidii. Unaweza enda mahali ilikuwa network na shika. Ukifika hapo ukipata mteja taka kidogo tena imepotea. Hasa tena unaanza tena kutafuta. Ukiwa na mambo mbaya ambayo ulitaka upashe habari, itakuwa ngumu kufikia mwenye ulitaka. Kwa hivyo tangu tulete hii booster ya Telecom na huko Jelebe ya Safaricom na huko Jepkurkur imetuletea afadhali. Lakini kuanzia sasa kwa hii barabara barabara hii ya kuteremka mpaka Gufsiro mpaka kule Kapkom, huko pande hiyo hakuna network.
That is just a sample of what has changed in Mount Elgon following the implementation of the voice infrastructure project that is managed by the Communications Authority of Kenya. Time now to cross over to Kitui County, and we join Michael Simanji, who will tell us how the existing communication gaps in the county are being filled.
For the longest time, residents of Kimela in Kitui County did not have access to communication services, despite being approximately 200 kilometers from Nairobi. But now, with installation of 3 new communication masts, the residents can now breathe a sigh of relief.
It is 10 in the morning, and residents of Kimela sublocation, Mitamisi location in Mwingi North constituency, are gathered for a public meeting commonly known as Baraza in Kenya. Chief Samuel Mutemi chairs the meeting. We learned that Samuel was able to gather all these people through the use of his mobile phone.
Hatukuwa hata tunajua kama kuna kitu inaitwa Twitter. So now we are tweeting. You tweet your colleague, ana tweet mwingine, ana tweet mwingine. Kama ni ng'ombe zimeibiwa, naona ni haraka sana tunasikamata. Tumetengeneza vikundi vya WhatsApp groups. Tunawasiliana kwa haraka sana. Samani ukitaka kuwa na baraza, mimi kama chief mpaka niandike barua iende kwa all elders, then watachukua pirimbi wakienda kwa every shopping center wapulize firimbi, watu wakuje. Kuna baraza ya chifu siku fulani, lakini siku hizi mambo ni rahisi. Hivyo hawa wote wamepiga simu wakajua kama niko kwa ofisi na wamekujia huduma. Kitambo ifike saa 6 nimehudumia watu wamerudi kwa kazi yao.
Samuel says that the construction of the new communication masts in Kimela, Makuka and Malalani had helped bridge the digital divide and enabled residents access government services easily.
Tunaweza kutuma zile monthly returns zetu kwa kupitia mitandao. Pia tunaweza kuongea na the head office in case we need supplies items za kutumia kwa ofisi. Tunaweza kupiga simu. Pia kama labda kuna forms hatuna, tunaweza piga picha labda kama hatuna, tukatuma kwa ofisi na tukatumia. Pia tunaweza tumia emails kutoka headquarters kupitia mitandao na tukasoma. Kama ni kitu kinahitajika kwa ghafla, tunajibu kwa haraka pia.
Zamani hapa ilikuwa ni shida balaa sana. Ilibidi tupande juu ya miti ili kutafuta ni network. Mwisho ilikuwa imepatikana around 30 kilometers from the main highway, ilikuwa inapatikana huko. Pia changamoto upande wa usalama, ilikuwa ni shida sana kufanya communication. Sababu unaona saa zingine bandits ndio hao wameingia huko sehemu za Kimela chini huko, na ungependa kutuma hii habari kwa haraka. Sasa hata kule kupanda juu ya mti, hata wewe mwenyewe unaogopa, pengine wanakuona, wataweza kukutoa hapo.
This improvement has also been felt in the healthcare sector.
We have been able to network with the community, like when you get an emergency, maybe it's accidents and all that, snake bites. Then even if it's at night, you are called, you come and attend the patient, and you also prevent the danger because you might lose that patient, you might lose even the breadwinner of the community.
The expanded communication network is also transforming farming practices here.
Zamani ulikuwa unaweza kuta mfugaji ameweka kama kuku, mbuzi, na ugonjwa ndio umeingia, ugonjwa wa mbuzi. Outbreak ya kuku, especially hii inaitwa Newcastle. We hata ujui sasa utafanya namna gani. Lakini saa hii ni rahisi sana. Hata tumeweka ile inaitwa improved kienyeji. Sababu kufikia yule daktari ni rahisi sana. Tuko na manamba zao. Pia unaweza wasiliana na wale wataalamu wengine. Kitambo masaa mawili yaishe, daktari amefika na kuku wako ama mbuzi wameokolewa.
Area residents say it has generally boosted the economy of the region, with entrepreneurs taking advantage of the improved network to grow their businesses.
Kama owners, unapigia customer mwenye unaendanga kwake, unamuuliza unataka kulete, unamletea.
People here now feel connected to the rest of the country.
We thank the CA and the concerned parties for the efforts made.
Hii network ukweli ni kwamba sisi imetuunganisha na wale wa Kenya wengine.
The residents of Makuka, Kimela and Malalani can now add themselves to the list of regions with proper network coverage. And it is their hope that this improved network system will bring forth economic growth and stability. Back to you, Alex.
Thank you so much, Michael, for that report from Kitui County on how the existing communication gaps in the county are being filled and the impact so far on livelihoods. We take a short break. When we return,
There are no roads to the hills, and sometimes it could take actually even days before we could get access to the sites.
A lot of challenges that we face, but we soldier on.
You are watching the Chamwada Report, brought to you by the Communications Authority of Kenya.
welcome back. We are discussing the impact of improved network in unserved and underserved areas of Kenya thanks to USF projects. But how has it been accessing those areas?
So challenge number one is the roads.
We have problems of electricity.
Yes, the boosters, the masts, they look marvelous in the countryside, on hills, on rocks, but the engineers who constructed them have had it rough in some areas.
Some locations are mountainous, full of mountains and they're very difficult to access. Some locations are remote. Like I said, we only see people coming and congregating around the towers once the towers are already up. So by the time the studies are being done, you're not quite sure whether, people are there.
The other common challenge among the service providers is land ownership related.
When it is community owned, the counties also claim to own. So you deal with the counties, but you find that the communities are claiming to own, yet they have no documents to show. So most of the places we have gone, actually 90% are communal lands. So you find the community, first of all, is competing on how to share the rent.
That is why in some areas, the companies have found it easier to construct the masts in schools. Then there is also the challenge of powering the stations.
Base stations have to be powered. Some of those places have no connection to the national grid. When we put up the base station, we have to run the base station on diesel 24/7. The logistics of getting diesel to those stations is very difficult. Some places, the fueling equipment is taken away or is removed by bandits.
Indeed, vandalism has posed a big challenge to the service providers in some areas.
Some base stations, we've even had them destroyed. You've read in the newspapers once in a while that we put up base stations in some areas and they are destroyed by people who, would want to do bad things. So a lot of challenges that we face, but we soldier on. And of course, the light at the end of the tunnel is that we are connecting another Kenyan to fellow Kenyans to do business and to socialize.
Yet some communities do not see the bigger picture. They come up with conditions which the service providers say are beyond their scope.
They want a lot of projects. It's like they look at the operators as responsible for all the development in the area. Like they want schools to be built, classrooms to be built, they want boreholes, they want employment. So the demands are so much, and they are demanding and stopping us in some places that you have to do it before they can proceed. I wouldn't call it resistance, I would call it a bouquet of demands that they want. And sometimes it is not just one clan, it goes beyond one clan. And also, I think we also need to align and educate our politicians, because in one particular place where we have not built today, even the politicians are involved in the conversation, which really is a big surprise that the leaders are the ones who are providing some blocks and delays for such a noble project like this. In one side, we've been asked to hire 16 guards, which for us is not viable, because when you think of it today, these are very remote areas. Who can steal that equipment? It is the community that we are trying to serve. So we should not even be providing any kind of security, because it's there to serve them. So they should be guarding it nearly for free.
Amid those challenges, the service providers say phase 1 of USF projects has yielded positive results, with Safaricom and Telcom erecting boosters in 68 out of the intended 78 sublocations.
Communication is an innate human need. So when we put the communication is when you see these secondary needs coming up, because people form a community around the communication center. And it goes with the normal things. If we are here, where is the water coming from? Where are our children getting an education? And in many of these, we've been able to partner with the Safaricom Foundation and do a good job of providing communication and then also providing either education or a borehole or some other service for the community.
So there is also an element of risk when our people go out there. Sometimes they are chased away, they are scared of going to certain places because of security. Some of them actually think that you're actually taking away their land. So we've had quite a lot of challenges, but we're still moving on. We are in collaboration with other agencies. We are also involving the government, particularly in terms of security. so that we have less and less problems when we go to do installations there. But we've been using, of course, the local chiefs and other people and politicians from those areas to try and talk to them and explain to them that it is for their own benefit. Some of them, of course, have come to appreciate when they find that now they are able to use their mobile phones. Before then, they could not use them. So they're beginning to appreciate what we are doing.
Remember, we began this show in Mount Elgon, where I've been pitching tent, and I learned that improved communication network coverage has contributed a great deal to enhancement of security in this area. And that's how we end our show today. Next week, has the fund achieved its objectives?
There's a dilemma in the manner in which this fund has been rolled out.
A journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step.
Make a date with us, same time and same channel.
Haya, nitawasalimu. Okay, mwalimu.
License and regulate mobile telecom operators, TV and radio broadcasters, postal and courier operators. All this to open up a world of choice for you. Game iko juu na CA, the Communications Authority of Kenya, CA, opening your world.